order. Can I start with a roll call?
Barbara Barossa.
James Meyer.
Aziz Hassan.
Norma Drummond? Thank you. Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, there are a couple of changes to the agenda, namely, we're not going to open or discuss a couple items tonight. Number two, there was a issue with noticing when we got the survey for the information of the board. When we got the survey, there was an additional item that was found to be needing a variance, so we want to make sure all the noticing of the neighbors is done and we bring the neighbors out at one time. So we will not open number 2. Numbers 8, 9, and 10, we will also not open. Number 8 is the applicant is actually withdrawn, and numbers 9 and 10 are awaiting surveys. So there's really no relevant information for us to review at this point until we get those surveys. Our next coming meetings, if anybody has to join us next month, please, the meeting will be on Wednesday evening. We're usually the second Tuesday, but the second Tuesday is primary day, so this room is actually used for voting. So our meeting will actually be on Wednesday, September 9th. Tuesday, October 13th is our meeting. After that, we'll be back to our Tuesday schedule. We do have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 9th as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, good. No problem. And we have minutes from July 14th.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. All right, item number 1, let me introduce it and then I'll explain where we're at with this one. Item number 1 is an adjourned public hearing for the benefit of folks who haven't been here before. What we do first is our public hearings. These are applications where this board has already done an initial review, so we understand what the applicant is asking for. But now it's time for us to hear from you as neighbors, anything about the site that might be important for our consideration as we review their appeal. And then after the public hearings are over, then we go to reviews, which is generally the first or second time we see an application, just for us to understand what the applicant is asking for. So item number 1 is an adjourned public hearing. It's Appeal 3728, Earth Angels Veterinary Hospital. Dr. Alexandra Barrientos and Robert Kodakovi of Veterinary Wellness PC, doing business as Earth Angels Veterinary Hospital, are you requesting a use variance in order to operate a veterinary hospital at 1 Four Corners Boulevard, Hopewell Junction, which is in an R1 zone. The applicant has requested an adjournment to the September 9th meeting. He is actually currently working on getting approval before the Wappingers Planning Board for a site in the town of Wappingers. So there is no new application from the applicant at this point, but because we did specifically adjourn this public hearing last month to this evening, I do need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So knowing that there's no new information, the applicant is continuing to pursue another site. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak related to this matter? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing to next month until we hear further?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, so item number 2, we're not going to open. Item number 3 is a public hearing, Appeal 3742, Alaka. Joseph Alaka, 549 Leetown Road, Swinville, is requesting a 4-foot front line variance for an existing house which was built in 1982 and received a certificate of occupancy pursuant to Section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening.
Michael, for the benefit of the neighbors, do you want to just explain what your applicant is looking for?
A motion
Yeah.
to open the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Aziz.
Effectively, Joe Locke, who was with us tonight, the neighbor, he owns a home up on Leetown Road, and we were working on actually preparing an addition for him. When we did an updated survey and submitted for the building permit application, it was found out that the existing structure does not meet the current setback of 50 feet for the zone that we're in. Now, the house was built, I think you mentioned, in '82. Joe bought the house in 2000, 2006, so when the house was actually purchased, this issue never came about at the time of the purchase. Slipped through the cracks, however you want to say it, but again, it was kind of a pre-existing situation. So really what we're here for is to get things cleaned up.
Sure.
Okay? The town was gracious enough to allow Joe to start the work out on the site, pending making an application, moving through the process, so that's effectively why we're here.
And no part of the addition needs any variances? The addition is all in conformance?
We submitted a copy, do you have a copy of the as-built? We have, as part of the construction of this, okay, we're looking for a 46 the existing setback is 46.1 feet, the pre-existing. So if we take 50 minus 46.1 is 3.9. Is my math right?
You're getting there.
Are we close?
You got it.
So there is an addition. We do have an as-built which was submitted to the building department, okay? They're very aware of the situation related to this. The as-built for the foundation plan, does show a front setback of 49.3
Right.
for the proposed. So effectively, we are a little tighter, closer to the property line than the 50. But the fact, this was reviewed, it was approved, so they allowed continued construction with the assumption, certainly when we receive the front yard setback variance for the pre-existing condition, that certainly would cover it, you know?
John, does it cover it? I mean, I don't know why we didn't just notice this.
Well, if you're given a 4-foot variance for the original, then he's still within the variance,
Right.
right?
But that's for the,
Yeah, but you grant the
Yeah.
variance for the whole structure, so.
all right, as long as John agrees.
What Jim said, yes.
Good answer.
I'll go with that.
All right. All right. Anything else? Any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against the request of Joseph Alaka, 549 Leetown Road, Stormville, requesting a 4-foot front line variance for an existing house built in 1982? All right, I do have one email that we did receive from one of the neighbors. This is from Jason and Catherine Paraskiva, 528 Leetown Road. I see my neighbor, the Alakas, are on the agenda next Tuesday, the 11th, for a 4-foot front line variance. They're in the middle of building a beautiful addition on their home, and my wife and I want to go on record that we are in favor of anything the zoning board can do to resolve their violations. All right, so Pam, you have this email for the file. Seeing no other request to speak, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And,
All right, this is appeal number 3742 for Joseph Alaka for a 4-foot front line variance for an existing house which was built in 1982 and received a certificate of occupancy pursuant to section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance, located at 549 Leetown Road, Stormville, in zoning district R1. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 4-foot front line variance for an existing house which was built in 1982 and received a certificate of occupancy pursuant to section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on July 29, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on August 11, 2015, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community as the structure is already in place and a fence shields it from neighbors, the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, the variance requested is not substantial, the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions as the structure is already existing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Joseph Alaka for a 4-foot front line variance for an existing house which was built in 1982 and received a certificate of occupancy pursuant to section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just so the record is clear, I think I heard something in there about a fence. It may be a carryover from another resolution, but there's no fence.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure it's,
You also said structures.
maybe I heard it wrong, I just want to make sure there's no reference to a
You're probably
fence.
right.
Okay. All right, so let's correct that as the structure. Yeah, I
read it as
I
structure.
corrected that.
I know.
All right, something's wrong here. But anyway, let's keep going. As the structure is already in place, leave it at that.
Twice.
Okay,
Second as amended.
thank you. Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara? Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries.
Great, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night.
You as well.
Okay, item number 4, Appeal 3743, Rhinebeck Realty LLC, Mavis Tire Company, Mavis Tire Supply, LLC, is requesting an interpretation of the hours of operation at their location at 1030 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, the former Ben's Auto Site, pursuant to local law number 2 of 1997. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, good evening. On this one, there is a request from a local business for this board to interpret local law number 2 of 1997 relating to whether there is a limit of hours of operation related to a business use. There is the application from the applicant itself does specifically say that this applicant is looking for Sunday hours. But this board's interpretation of the law would apply then to any business, particularly any auto business, that would be covered or that meets the parameters of local law number 2. So the board wished to pursue this further and open it up for public comment to be able to get some sense from neighbors. Again, is there any concern? In our discussion last week, it's pretty clear that there's no specific limitation of hours within the code. There are a lot of other limitations and a lot of either site plan requirements, minimums and maximums, to make sure that any business operating under this local law there is some level of protection for the neighbors. However, subject to this specific business, when it did get approval of a variance that it needed, there was specific discussion within the context of the zoning board review that did limit this operation's ability to have Sunday hours. So again, their request was for us to take a look at local law number 2, but it was specific for them looking to do Sunday hours. So in that context, we're looking for anybody who'd like to give us any of your views in terms of, whether hours should be limited, particularly Sunday hours, based on the local law for us to consider. So I believe there's a woman standing here. Okay, let me just interrupt you for 1 second. If you're going, we did open it up. If you're going to speak, I'm going to ask you to come to the microphone. Okay? And then I am going to ask you to sign in. You can sign in after you have finished speaking, though.
Not a problem. Good evening. My name is Julia Homut, Khomut. I'm an architect with DCAK MSA Architecture and Engineering from Nyack, New York. On behalf of Mavis Tire, we conducted the noise level study at the given location, and I already emailed the reports, and I brought more of the information in reports about this particular.
We haven't seen it, so.
You haven't seen it? No, I emailed it. Listen, this is the reports.
Okay,
For everybody, but
the board clerk is saying she didn't receive it,
you
so.
had called Friday morning, but I never received it. I emailed it right away. Email. I never received it.
We need one more.
Well, just to summarize, just very briefly to summarize the report.
Well, the neighbors are going to be interested in the information, so,
That's right. I mean, so we took the reading through the entire day. I mean, we took the numerous reading in 3 different locations throughout the day, and in the morning, in the, like around the lunchtime, in the afternoon. But to summarize it, the average noise level in that location about 17% less than the required level, I mean, or limit of the level required in that area. So the code, the local code, limits it to about 70 decibel. Our reading concluded that average reading is about 58 decibel there. With very few spikes, and those spikes are attributed to the local, I mean, particular activity at the moment. For example, construction truck pass by, because when you do the reading, you know, besides the noise level produced by Mavis's ranges, I mean, it also picks up the ambient noise, you know, whatever happens around. But the summary and conclusion that we are 17% less of the allowed noise level in the area. And
what day of the week did you conduct your
it was
study?
Friday.
It was a Friday?
Yes. It was Friday, well, because store was operational. We also use we also attest to you that Mavis is using the newest equipment and the quietest ranges available, you know, specifically for the being very sensitive to the noise level and the surrounding of the country store like this.
So when I'm looking at the chart. One says pneumatic, the other one is quiet? Is that
Quiet,
supposed to be quiet?
yeah. And
Did you have the doors open or the gates open?
well, we
Open or
actually
closed?
tested them with both, with the both. I mean, door open, door closed, I mean, quiet ranges, not quiet ranges, but I mean, you see in front of you the average results of all of these different activities. And the average, as I said before, the average noise level is 17% less than allowed.
Okay.
And 17% less than allowed, based on what?
Based on your local zoning ordinances. I mean, in that same report, there is,
For a residential area or for a business area, or what?
for the, it's a mixed-use area. I mean, it's the area which has a mix of the commercial and residential uses there.
This is residential.
Okay.
And, I mean, I have this here, I mean, it's also included in the report.
I'm sorry, we can't understand, you got to
I'm sorry.
speak into the microphone and speak
I'm
slower.
very sorry. Okay. I have with me a little map which is indicating where the tests were taken, okay, and the distances and exact location, okay, of the,
Okay, so one of them is taken outside the front doors, one is taken kind of along the middle of the rear property line, right? And the other is taken, in your description here, it says it's on the eastern side, but it's on one of the side property lines.
location A, B, and C.
Right.
So it's like front of the door and the property line, and the furthest back we could get on our property.
Okay, what's the property to the, on the one that you did the property line on, which is kind of behind the building, where's the, is that a house on that property next door?
It's a house, right?
There's 2 houses.
There's 2 houses on the one side, or
One
there's,
that's right outside the bay doors and one that's adjacent to the back of the building.
okay. So you did take it on the side that has a neighbor?
Well, there were 3 tests. There were basically the test outside the bay doors, a test to the back side of the building where there's also a house.
Can I have you come to the microphone, please? And just state your name for the record, please.
It's Chester Tarantino. I'm the store manager for that location. Basically, on that Friday, we had 3 tests done from the company. One was outside the bay doors. The other one was back in the wood line.
Right.
And the other one was out in the back part of the building. All 3 tests were done at simultaneous times of the day, morning, afternoon, and early evening. The tests were performed with no work, so I had to stop all my guys from working, so there's actual noise readings with traffic, any other noise that could be there. Then the next test was 3 different tests in 3 different sites with the doors open and the air gun actually being held, both the pneumatic and the new gun that we're using with the exhaust. Never do we ever hold the trigger on the gun, but we put it down as an excessive noise. So we were just holding it for a minimum of 10, 15, 20 minutes a clip. With the doors open at the 3 different locations, and then we would close all the doors that we have, and the same tests were performed at all 3 locations with the guns, both different guns. There was like a minimum of 1 to 2 decimal difference between the 2 guns. So where I think she was talking about as far as the variance, as far as the residential commercial properties, there's 2 different variances to the law. There's the 70 decibel and also the 75 decibel,
Right.
where she stated we're 17% lower than the average. At any point in my air guns, there's a 2 decibel difference between the 2 different air guns I've been using, the quieter guns. As far as the neighbors, I get along great with them. I haven't had any noise complaints as a manager. I've always extended myself out to the local public. As far as the business hours, Saturdays, we're trying to get 8 to 5 back, and we're trying to get 9 to 5 back because it's a service to the community. A lot of people have to travel Monday through Friday from here to the city. A lot of clientele can't get the work done during the week, so they feel that Saturday and Sunday is convenient because they could drop the car off, we could do what we need to do, and get the car back to them in timely fashion.
In your regular business, are you operating, and I understand cars come in and out of the garage, but
Yeah.
do you operate with the doors closed in the regular?
Well, during the day, during the business hours, no, we don't. At this time of the year, it's hard because you hit 90 degrees outside, you're hitting
Right.
probably average of 110, 120 inside.
Okay.
That's not counting with the heat off the engines. So yeah, we do have the doors open, but again, the guns aren't going consistently. It's enough to take the tires off, do the work we have to do. A lot of times, my guys will use hand tools to do brake work, shock work, sharp work, anything like that where we need the air tools.
Okay.
Again, it's never a strenuous noise. And of course, in the wintertime, the doors will be closed. The only time they open is if we have to move a car in or out. And at all times, I've always talked with my neighbors. If there's ever a complaint with my employees or anybody doing anything from the company that's inappropriate, I would handle it as a manager.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, the noise test was pretty much done on a Friday. It was a busy Friday, so we had a good flow of clientele in there, which was great. It made it kind of hard for me because the test going on kind of slowed my work progress and made inconvenience for everybody else, but we need to do what we need to do so that we can satisfy the appeal that we're making. You know, to me, it's more about the community and the convenience for them. That's why we, as Mavis, opened the location where we did, because other than that, you would have to travel from here to Route 9, or out to 55 Poughkeepsie, or out to Pauling, or other locations.
When you purchased the property, and again, I know you're the manager.
Yeah.
Was there any recognition at all that there was no
To the
Sunday
best of my
hours
knowledge,
allowed?
no. No, to the best of my knowledge, no. It was 3 weeks after we opened that, I got the letter that there was a noise complaint. And, you know, at that point, we abided by the town policy. We closed, we're open 8 to 3, we're closed on Sunday. That was,
Right, so for the last,
since we got the letter 3 weeks after I opened, it's been 8 to 3 Saturday, and we're closed on Sundays.
okay.
So we, you know, pretty much have cooperated with everything that we could to make the community, you know, the Mavis is a family-owned business, even though it's a corporation. It was started by the family.
Okay.
It's one of the business, and the main point is Jeff mentioned, it's a service to the community. So continue to provide a good service to the community
Okay.
for the support.
And the pictures you have below?
Well, the pictures are just supporting the application. The pictures are for local property and showing the location on site, right?
Okay.
They are indicating, where they are taking in all corners, in the store, the entrance, they're bypassing traffic, which is in the spot. But this is all part of their work.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the report, I was with them during the whole sound testing. As a manager, I needed to know the whole aspect of what the, sound test was consisted of. A lot of times during the sound test, traffic going by, like construction trucks, anything hauling a vehicle,
Was
the
louder than
pike in it,
yours.
it spiked the meter higher than what it should have been.
Right.
That's out of my control.
Understood.
But again, we did everything in our power. Again, I will continue as a manager to work with the community, because that's what this company's all about, is working for the community.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing I could think of.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's have an opportunity for your neighbors to comment. Come on up.
My name's Alfred Pazarekis, and as far as them keeping to the hours that they say, they're open till 7:30 on Saturdays. On Thursdays, they've been open till 8:30 on there. Their guns with their special baffles, I don't know about. And as far, I own the repair shop up the road, A&G, and we've always been with the town. We don't even open on Saturdays, and we don't open on Sundays because it's always been a rule. And I've had, like their dumpster sticks out. And when I first moved in there, I couldn't have my dumpster out there. Theirs is wide open on there, and I just don't understand it. Hopewell's been always, Sundays was a peaceful day. And it's like I said, as far as him with the community and his hours, he's a liar on there. I got people telling me, I got actually 120 people that filled out forms about them opening on Sundays. I have.
Thank you.
And we go as far as, we tow at night. I have turnoffs on my backup beepers, so there's not a problem with the neighbors on there.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so let me just read into the record what you've given us. It says, "We, the undersigned, are against the idea that Mavis Tire be allowed to operate after 3 p.m. on Saturdays and any time on Sundays. The town has always denied requests by auto shops to work on Saturday after 3 p.m. and on Sundays. We ask that the town board deny this request and continue to protect the taxpaying residents of East Fishkill as they have always done. Let's continue to make East Fishkill a grateful place." And so there are names and addresses of a whole host of people on here. When you say that you haven't been allowed, what has prohibited you from not working on Sundays?
Oh, I thought it was in the minutes that we couldn't.
Did you get a special permit then as well?
I have a special permit.
Okay, so it,
And that's the other thing, if they open on Sundays, I have 70 mail trucks I can work on all day long. It would be very helpful. I don't want to, but if, it would be helpful for me. I try to keep it peaceful on Sundays around here. So.
okay, thank you.
Where is your shop located, sir?
I'm A&G,
82.
right up the street.
Hi, I'm 1031 Route 82, and I have no problem with Mavis whatsoever. I live directly across the street. They're quiet enough for me. My concern is the traffic going back and forth, like the manager said. The tractor trailers are out of control. You have both drivers coming down from Hudson, New York, cutting through 82 to go on the thruway to go south,
Yeah.
which I think is ridiculous.
Beyond the scope of what we're here for.
I understand that, but I want to
Okay.
contribute to what the manager said there, that his readings are skewed only because you got a lot of trucks coming down here.
Understood.
You have an ordinance with pickup trucks with mufflers like this big running up and down there, so there's a lot to do with that. As far as Mavis is concerned, I have no problem,
Okay.
okay? Now, you're out? Are you out, Angie? You don't want to tow a truck
Excuse
on
me,
Sunday?
Excuse me, sir. You have to address the board.
Please, you're here to address this board.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify things, like one person says one thing, another person says another thing. Okay, my thing is I have no problem with Mavis with the hours of operation, okay? They do work late on Thursday nights, which I was told they can do on Thursday nights. You got to think about the people that live in the town, that work in the city, come home, need guitars and/or repairs, can't get it done.
the question is, sir, you're not unhappy or you're okay with the hours of operating. You say you have no problem with Sundays as well?
I have no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
It brings commerce into Hopewell Junction. Can't we use the revenue that comes in from them? Aren't you taxing these guys?
But
Make that clear
understand,
what you're okay in.
and again, and along the lines of understanding what you're okay with, understanding that local law of 2 of 1997 would apply to other auto service stations, would you be okay then with other auto service stations in town then also operating on Sundays?
Wouldn't bother me. Ben did it for a while. I'm up here 36 years. Directly across the street.
One of the applicant is requesting longer hours on Saturday and then also being open on Sunday. So there are two different issues that are being raised up here. So and you're comfortable with both of them for this particular applicant?
As far as Saturday goes, I would go at 9 to 4 to give people down that need a break. Sunday, 10 to 3, 10 to 2, to give the other people that can't make it on a Saturday, on a Sunday. You know, I'm looking out for the welfare of the people that live in our general community. If they need repairs to their cars, they can get it without going obsessive miles, whatever.
Okay. You could put your name on the list. Thank
Can we
you.
get the previous gentleman, you have to print, because you need to come back and print your name, please.
Yes, thank you. We do keep minutes of these meetings. All right, is there anybody else?
Hi, I'm Carl Boss. I live right on the south side of Mavis. Mavis has been a good neighbor so far. I have no problem with anything except when you open up a Sunday, you open it up for everybody.
For everybody, right.
And, you know, it's nice to have a peaceful Sunday. So that's basically where I am. You've got the whole community, now you're going to have them running around on Sunday. So if that's what the people want, that's fine. Otherwise, their hours later, no problem. Nobody should be told they have to stop work once they get started on something. That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Okay?
Let me be clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you supporting Sunday hours for this business, this applicant?
No, I'm not supporting it. I won't be terribly upset if they get it, okay? But I prefer there wasn't a Sunday hours. The other hours, I don't care about. They can stay open as long as they have to.
On
As I
Saturday?
said, they've been there a couple months, and they haven't been a problem. They've been good neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay,
Anybody else?
I already asked the question. So I think we need to close and reserve so we can have some discussion about
Yep.
what we think. Do I have a motion?
Yes, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, actually, you're right, thank you. There are 2 letters we should actually read into the record, thank you. Before we close, we have one letter from an Anthony D'Amato, 43 Foster Road. I am unable to attend the zoning meeting concerning Mavis Tire on Route 82. I would like to submit the following. It was my understanding that this site would not be allowed to have Sunday hours and would have abbreviated hours on Saturday, as it is in proximity to residences. Not only do we hear air tools and tire changing equipment, but also noise from vehicle alarms and horns in the early morning hours when these vehicles are left for service. During the day, there is also noise from vehicles being worked on outside of the building and vehicles half in and half out of the bay doors. We also hear vehicles being tested in the parking lot and road tests entering and exiting the property at what seems to be high rates of speed. Soon, when weather turns colder, we will be hearing vehicle horns every time a bay door needs to be opened or closed. With reference to the local law concerning repair shops, I have made these observations. There are vehicles parked in the rear of the building on unpaved properties encroaching on the residential areas. The activity from this area is easily heard from my property. Additionally, the dumpster enclosure has been turned into an often overflowing used tire bin, and the garbage dumpster has been relocated outside of it in the open, causing every hard part thrown into it to reverberate throughout the neighborhood. I urge the board to uphold the original approval, as no amount of screening or fencing will mitigate this noise, and neighbors should be entitled to a peaceful Sunday. There are 2 other repair shops in close proximity, both of which are closed on Sunday, and allowing Sunday hours at this site could create a scenario where all open on Sunday, creating a huge impact on the surrounding neighbors. We have a second from Lori Actually, no, this one's not related to this application. This is a different application. All right, so with that, do I have a motion to close
And
and
reserve.
reserved our decision?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so just so you understand, the application, at this point, we will close. We have 62 days to issue or render a decision. We generally will try to do it at the next meeting, but in this case, as with other interpretations, we need to have some general discussion amongst ourselves as a board in terms of, where we want to go with this.
I mean,
Okay?
absolutely, I agree, no problem. I mean, some of the concerns that I heard today, which I didn't hear before, I will address them tomorrow.
Okay.
My day off, I'll contact corporate, and we're not against the community, we're about working with it, so,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next is a public hearing, number 5, Appeal 3745, Messina. Michael Messina, 50 Kim Lane, Stormville, is requesting a 15-foot sideline variance for a proposed 26-foot by 30-foot detached garage, and a variance to the requirement that the garage cannot exceed 60% of the square footage of the footprint of the house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good evening.
How you doing?
All right, so we did review your application last month. There is the local law that limits the ability to have a detached garage more than either 750 square feet or 60% of the footprint of your house. In this case, your request exceeds that 60% by 4 square feet. So it's very, very de minimis. We did review that. We did also look at the fact that it would require a 15-foot sideline variance for the detached garage. I don't think this board, I think we understood the need for that, but I think we were just interested in hearing if your neighbors had any concerns related to your request. So is there anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay, is there any questions or comments from board members?
I'm good.
Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak for or against the request from Michael Messina, 50 Kim Lane, Stormville, requesting a 15-foot sideline variance for a proposed 26-foot by 30-foot detached garage, and a variance to the requirement that the garage cannot exceed 60% of the square footage of the footprint of his house? Seeing none? Sure. And what is that?
Above ground pool?
Yeah. There's a pool that's showing up on one of the surveys that you provided to us. I gotta find your application.
Do you have a pool up there?
Yeah.
And fence is very close to your neighbor's property?
Well, where's the fence? I'm not worried about.
Okay.
Where is the pool, though?
That was all
When was it put in?
discussed when I did 80, 81, something before I owned the
Okay, so it
house.
was before the 25-foot requirement.
Okay.
And again, for the record, we should have this on the record. Can you tell us how far the pool is from the property line? There's not a measurement here.
The pool itself,
Yeah. You have a triangular
maybe-
piece of property, so.
yeah, it's kind of strange. I'm shoved in that one corner or that one point of the triangle. It's probably 15 feet, maybe 20 feet. I'm not really sure.
15 or 20 feet.
Yeah, don't quote me on that.
At least 15. Well, actually, it has to be 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more like 10, because if you look at this, this is 5, yeah, this is 5.5. Look at this is 5, and you look at that from there, seems to be more than 10.
Okay.
And it's rounded, so even if you come, yeah, so it's,
Okay, so the question is, did we talk, when did the shed go up? Because again, your survey's now also
15
showing the
years.
shed.
All that was taken care of when I did an addition about 4 years ago.
Okay, so you have the variance for the shed?
Yeah, that
Got
was
it.
discussed.
That's
everything
fine.
was okay.
Just
pool's
making
a
sure,
lot
we just
for-
want to make sure we
Yeah.
clean everything up, so.
Pool's a lot further than 10 feet.
yeah, it's more than 10 feet, correct.
Yeah, it might because there's concrete or retaining wall, there's all kinds of stuff before the
Yeah.
property line.
The pool itself, you got the fences closer.
All right, so anybody wish to speak for or against? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Tara, you want to?
Aye.
This is appeal number 3745 from Michael Messina.
Oh, you bring the mic closer? Thank you.
There's a 15-foot sideline variance for proposed 26 by 30 detached garage and a variance to the requirement that the garage cannot exceed 60% of the square footage of the footprint of the house pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. It's in an R2 district. Resolution offered by zoning board member Tara Franco. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 15-foot sideline variance for proposed 26 foot by 30 foot detached garage and a variance to the requirement that the garage cannot exceed 60% of the square footage of the footprint of the house pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker, no further action is required. Whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on July 29, 2015. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on August 11, 2015. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the garage will be screened from the neighbors. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means because the topography of the land. The variance requested is not substantial, and the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Michael Messina, 50 Kim Lane, Stormville, for a 15-foot sideline variance for a proposed 26-foot by 30-foot detached garage and a variance to the requirement that the garage cannot exceed 60% of the square footage of the footprint of the house pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 6, Appeal 3746, Gasland Holding Corporation. Gasland Holding, 2612 Route 52, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a special permit for an expansion of a non-conforming use in order to build a 1,030 square foot addition onto an existing residential structure which is located in a B1 zone pursuant to section 194-123 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Ahern. I'm an engineer with the Chazen Companies. I'm here representing Gasland Petroleum. It's a 4.72 acre parcel. Currently on the site, there is the gas station, the convenience store, a repair shop, and the existing residence in question. There are no changes proposed for the gas station, the barn, or the repair shop. But there is a 1,030 square foot, 2-story addition, so it's a 515 square foot footprint, onto the back side of the existing structure, which is 2,092 square feet. So it's under the 50% addition limit. We're here tonight because it's a non-permitted use, existing use at that in this district, because it's actually in the B1 district. Here. On the parcel, there is actually split almost in half is residential, the residential district, and also the B1 district, which all these structures are in. So there is a residential district on the site. It's just the residence
Just further
itself
back on
is
the
in
site.
the B1 district. That's correct. So like I said, we're here for the 50%.
Okay. Is the house currently occupied?
It's not currently occupied, no, I don't
Okay.
believe.
And so what's the reason for the significant addition to it?
Right, so they're not increasing the bedroom count, but it's an old building, so they're modernizing it, changing the footprint a little bit, and just, bringing it up to speed.
Okay, and there's no connection, aside from the fact that they share a lot, there's no connection of the use of that building related to the business
No.
on the rest of the
No,
lot?
it'll be completely a residential use.
And how long has it been vacant?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
purpose of it is for the owner to use?
The idea is that it would be a relative of the owner living in the building, yes.
So could it be the manager of the convenience store and the repair shop could be living there possibly?
Wouldn't matter.
No, I'm just saying,
Hypothetically, it could be, but I don't think that's the case here.
okay.
Well,
You had mentioned
not
that.
the initial use, at least.
And just for the record, I guess we can note that the gas station fronts on Route 52, and this is
Yes.
actually more in a
On
residential.
This is on
Correct.
Hosner Mountain Road, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Hosner Mountain.
And the addition's in the back of the structure.
You had mentioned there's a repair shop. Is it still operational or is it?
It is.
And what are the hours? I mean, do you have any idea?
They
I
open
don't
on
know.
Sundays?
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
But they're not asking to be open on Sundays, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
All right, I do have, this is the other neighbor letter that we have written in, so let me read into the record. We have an email from a Lori Adams, 15 Hosner Mountain Road. Dear Zoning Board, in regard to the appeal by Gasland Holdings, I have the following comments. One, my understanding is that this is a request to add a residential addition to a residential home in an area zoned as business. Two, my concerns are for the impact on the environment and that the character of the area is not be disturbed. Three, my background is that 2 times in 2 locations in East Fishkill, I have been impacted by groundwater contamination. The first on Shenandoah Road became a Superfund site, and the second at my current location, the groundwater was contaminated by MTBE. Both require time-consuming cleanup and filtering, and with significant potential for negative health effects. 4, I also believe that it is extremely important to preserve the historical character of the neighborhoods and not expand any commercial structures. 5, this area, Hosner Mountain Road near Route 52, including an area in this appeal, and my property and others were rezoned as a flood zone in the last 2+ years. In addition, it has an extremely high water table. There is also a stream next to the house that has flooded in the past. Development, residential, and more so commercial, has the potential to impact the groundwater of the neighborhood easily and in negative ways that would be extremely expensive and time-consuming to remedy. She says 4, but I believe this is going to be number 6. I do not object to this special permit if it is for a residential addition in the character of the current home, and if it is not for a garage similar to the industrial-like structure built by E. Hyatt next door, or that would be an extension of the adjacent business in any way. I do strongly object if it is anything else. Thank you for considering these comments by email and posting the signs along the road. These are a terrific way for the town residents to communicate. Okay,
Can I actually respond to a couple of those
yeah,
points?
please, because I'd be curious about groundwater and how you're going to deal with, because you're increasing your ratio of coverage here.
We're actually removing the portion of the driveway that used to go behind the building. So there is a negligible, basically even amount of impervious. We're moving and adding the same amount. So it's a wash there. We are in the floodplain. We are raising the building 2 feet above the floodplain to accommodate for that, which is a separate submission we are making. As far as the groundwater contamination, it will be residential use, so that won't be an issue here.
Well, you have a gas station next door, so the potential for
Right, but
groundwater
I'm just saying
contamination.
the addition to the residence won't contribute to contamination.
But again, it's an expansion of an existing residential use.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for or against this appeal for Gasland Holding, 2612 Route 52, Hopewell Junction, requesting a special permit for an expansion of a non-conforming use in order to build a 1,030 square foot addition onto an existing residential structure located in a B1 zone? I'm going to ask you to step aside. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Russell Smith, and my wife and I live at 2630 Route 52. Our property actually adjoins Gasland at one location. My concerns are the water table and the flooding in the area.
Okay.
Over the years, there has been development along Hosner Mountain Road and so forth in the area, which has rendered most of my property that is not developed or anything wetlands at this point. There is a high salt contamination in the area, and I would be very concerned if it was going to be, if the property was going to be used for anything other than a residential, you know, if someone was going to, a one-family residential type of situation.
Okay.
Like I said, the flooding and the water is really the biggest problem, so anything that happens on that property is definitely going to impact my property.
Do you know the extent of the contaminated, as it relates to the road salt and the issue in that area?
It's all of my property.
Well, I know that.
I believe it is along Hausner Mountain Road.
Okay,
The state is actually in the process of drilling wells.
okay.
They say they're going to drill me one, but I don't have it yet. Ed Hyatt did have one drilled. They went down 560 feet, I believe.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I still haven't got a report whether he has good water or what the situation is.
Okay.
But like I said, my concern is that the property become anything other than a single-family residence.
Okay.
And the access to that property is off of Hausner Mountain?
Yes.
Is that the DOT access to that property?
Yeah, the
There's
property,
a curb cut on Hosner Mountain Road.
yeah, the property sort of goes around Mr. Hyatt's house right on the corner. So it goes in from the service facility, the gas station, and then it goes around it, and then you have the house that's behind Mr.
Yes,
Hyatt's
I'm
house.
very familiar with the property, yeah.
But it's all one piece of property, so.
Right, right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want me to sign it?
Please.
Good evening. My name is Judy Smith, Mrs. Russell Smith. I do have a couple of comments. I'm not entirely sure I understand this piece of property at all.
Okay.
Because originally they were two very separate pieces of property. The property that this house is on belonged to another individual. A family of long-standing lived there. At one point, the previous owner of the Gasland property purchased that house. When that previous owner wanted to do an expansion of the gas stand, a gas station, and that business, it's my understanding that the town required him to have more property in order to complete the extension of that building. So the suggestion then was that that house that came in from the side off of Hosner Mountain Road, and which property came up to the back end of his property, because he owned it, that it be included in the gas station property. So it hasn't always been one piece of property. It was two separate pieces of property. I don't understand how, since he had to put those two properties together to satisfy a town requirement in terms of acreage or in terms of footage or something, I think it needs to be taken into consideration that whatever is done to this house in this rather extensive addition not compromise what the town attempted to accomplish when it had the two pieces of property put together. And yes, that house always had a driveway on Hosner Mountain, but this application is for 2612. So if access is going to be via 2612 for any purpose, then there needs to be consideration given to the hours of operation of the business, because there is a rather large gate with a closure on it that after a certain point in time is locked. Obviously, everybody who's been in town any long period of time knows Hosner Mountain, but how would emergency service vehicles access that property today if this were to pass? Would they be expected to go in through 2612? Because it has no address on Hosner Mountain Road anymore. Thank you.
That's the point, that's the address of the owner is 2612, so they're the applicant. There's no, I guess you can respond to, there's no, they did mention it. They're going to remove some of the blacktop at the house, but the access is still going to be off Hosner, correct?
Yes, existing is the driveway's in the shape of an L, so it goes to the left side of the house where we're keeping the driveway, and also went behind the house. So we're removing the section that went behind the house and keeping the access off of Hosner Mountain Road.
Okay, can you respond to the issue that was just raised about the need for this lot to be included, was it related
Honestly,
to
I don't
FAR or
know.
lot coverage? I'm just
I don't know the
curious.
history of that.
Okay, we're going to need to pull the site plan approval then for
Yeah.
the original lot and see, get some sense of the history as to whether, again, this lot was needed for some other coverage issue.
Because when
Okay.
one parcel access, it's one parcel.
Yeah, at some point, when it was combined, it would be listed as one parcel, it would have one address. But if it was required, as was suggested for a planning board application, site plan approval, but, because of, my guess would be coverage, but we have to understand that, because then, I understand, you're saying you're removing some impervious surface, you're removing blacktop, but.
But we're adding building area, correct.
You're adding floor space, so we just need to understand, make sure that we're not contradicting any other requirement for the use of this property. I mean, it really is incumbent on you to provide that information to us, but again, it was just brought to our attention, as we've always said, the neighbors know these properties better than we do, so it's always helpful when it gets brought to our attention. So we would expect that you'll address this issue in the next, in the next month, but
Absolutely.
Pam will certainly work with you to the extent that we can.
Okay.
All right?
I mean, it's been mentioned, this is what, 4.7 acres?
Yes.
I think the site plan, I was going to raise the same point based on the comments made. Is there still the required acreage devoted to the house in terms of for that residential area? Maybe one way to look at it too, so I would ask that you look at it from that point of view as well.
Would that be assuming a lot line that?
You got to go back to the original site, the last site plan approval, and just see what was required. All right?
This house have its own well and septic?
Yes, everything's separate except, like the neighbor had mentioned, they essentially just removed a lot line at one point in time.
So you're not expanding the footprint of the house, all you're doing is raising the house?
No, they are
Raising and
expanding the-
extending, 515 feet footprint and 2 stories.
So there's...
But they're removing some blacktop, so in terms of impervious surface, it's probably going to be a wash.
Yes.
Okay.
I would suggest that we continue with this public hearing
Right.
and then come back next...
I think the speaker that just would like to come back.
I apologize.
No, that's fine.
I just felt I should point out that this property is bisected by a stream. So that is a significant amount of wetland and stream frontage to be taken into consideration as well.
We're looking at the plot right in front.
Yeah, there it is, right.
There it is, right in front.
There's the
So
stream.
we already are seeing that stream. Yeah, right there.
Thank you.
I didn't want you to miss it.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, motion to continue.
Well, let's just make sure, is there anybody here else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, motion to adjourn to next month?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll see you again next month. Please,
Thank you.
again, work with Pam to get us the information, hopefully by like the 25th of the month, so that, of this month, so we have time to review it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. To adjourn to September. All right, item number 7, Appeal 3747, Lowe, Larry Lowe, 128 Blue Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a special permit for an in-home office for a used car broker pursuant to Section 194-90 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Mr. Lowe has been before us. That you are a broker for used cars. You have clients that call you and indicate their preference for you to locate a certain type of car for them. You go to auctions and other sales and locate those cars for them. You have indicated to this board that you do not do auto repairs on your property. But that, your request is to be able to you have to be able to hang your shield and, for your business purposes at this property. So you want to be able to use this as your business address. Is there anything else you wanted to offer?
Yes, you summed it up.
Okay, we did have some concerns last month about other things that were happening on your property, bunch of sheds and things like that, and you did mention that you want some water? That you are looking into potentially doing a garage or something that might be able to clean up some of those other uses on that property.
Correct.
Since we did meet with you, we did get an email from, we have an email, I don't know whether it's a neighbor or not, I'm going to guess it is, that was dated Wednesday, July 29th. It was sent to the town, and it is a video of you doing work on a car. Presumably, I'm going to presume it's in your driveway. I don't know what your driveway looks like. It looks like you're working on an SUV. It looks like there's definitely the front tire is off of the car. The video runs for at least 30 seconds, probably. And so it looks like you're working potentially on brakes or something, because you're working around the back tire of the car. I can't, but based on the light, I can't tell if the tire is on or not.
And the front tire is on a jack.
Front tire, right. It's
part is
off
on a
and it's
jack.
raised.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know if this is your personal, it was a black car, I don't know, it looked like an SUV, didn't look like a minivan because the way the door opened. I don't know if it was your personal car or not, but there is concern, obviously, that this board has addressed it already, that when we last spoke with you, your last application, you did acknowledge at that point that you have done repairs at your home on some of these cars.
Correct.
So,
But from the time that I was here for the last meeting, no, repair I have not been doing at my house, no. As I stated earlier, I utilize Mavis and also Breaker-Off service, which is on 52. I've developed a relationship with them.
do you have a black SUV or a dark colored car that, was it your personal vehicle you were working on?
No, we have a black Mercedes, yeah.
No.
Was it an SUV?
No.
No, then it was definitely a...
Yeah. And again, the video also showed a whole bunch of cars or vehicles in the background also, so it wasn't very clear if they were all your vehicles or, but you were working on, or somebody was working on that SUV with the front on a jack, and somebody was working on the back, a rear part of the SUV. So,
Myself personally, I'm totally not aware of it. I mean, I'm not the only one that lives at 128. My son just recently moved in with me, with his family.
What type of vehicle does he have?
He has a Mercedes.
A sedan or what?
No, it's a sedan.
That wasn't it.
it was an SUV.
I don't know.
I mean, it was far enough away that it was hard to tell. It kind of looked like it might have had a license plate on it, but it was difficult to determine that.
I know we did have vehicles, on my property that did not have plates. All those vehicles have been removed and put in storage.
And we discussed that.
Yeah, we did definitely discuss
And it
that.
showed a lot of vehicles in the back, so.
It did. One was under a silver tarp. One was, there were probably at least 4 other cars in the driveway. Again, we couldn't tell whether there was license plates or not on them. So,
Anything that's parked at my house is registered.
okay.
Do you have that many vehicles generally?
Yeah, we have about 4 or 5 cars.
For all people living at the residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying. It could very well be that you were working on a personal car, but if that color car or make of car doesn't sound familiar, then
No,
I don't know what the explanation would be.
I don't own a black SUV, no.
It could have been, it was dark. It could have been dark blue, I don't know. Based on my view of it, it looked like it was black, but, okay. Any other comments or questions from board members? We did decide we wanted to hear from Mr. Lowe's neighbors if there were any concerns, so.
Okay.
All right, if I'm going to ask you to sit down, is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the appeal from Larry Lowe, 128 Blue Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a special permit for an in-home office for a used car broker?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Robert Iannelli. I'm an attorney. I've been asked to represent David and Christine Dugas. They are next-door neighbors for the applicant. And I've been recently asked to come and make some comments to you concerning Mr. Dugas' strong opposition to the application. I don't want to prolong this because I know there are many other people here who I think want to also speak with respect to the matter. Mr. Dugas has asked me to communicate to the board. He has some issues in speaking as a wife that's not feeling well. He wanted me to tell you that he tried before this matter was addressed by the board and by the town for all these issues, tried to speak to his next door neighbor concerning this matter and tried to put his best foot forward to resolve the matter, but he was unable to do so. He has great concerns concerning the veracity of the applicant and concerning the problems that the town has had with him before. And he's also concerned that the application that he's making for this in-home office for a used car broker, is the word that he uses, the concern is that the applicant is seeking to do indirectly what he's prohibited in doing directly under the zoning law. Now, I'm not a zoning expert, but I did look at the 194.90, and I see that the contemplated use here is for services and not for sales or repairs and those kinds of things. So I would just ask the board to take that into account and to look at the matter very, very carefully in reviewing the application. I don't think it complies with the spirit of the law. Continuing car sales, directly or indirectly, would produce an undesirable change in the community there on Blue Hill Road. A lot of families live there. A lot of people are concerned about cars. They're concerned about these kind of activities there. And we would just ask you to respectfully look at it very, very carefully before you pass judgment on the application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Suzanne Lewis at 121 Blue Hill Road. There's actually a bunch of us here, but they kind of gave me this.
That's fine.
And said to come up. So
If you're all saying the same thing, we appreciate having
right,
one
and
person
pretty much
represent.
we're all saying exactly what
That's
Mr.
fine.
Dugas's lawyer has said, which is that the property itself has been changed tremendously in the last year, I'd say, year and a half. I was good friends with the people that previously lived there, and so know what the property did look like. And Mr. Dugas, friendly with him, and he showed me through his yard and through pictures what is back there. Obviously, I won't go on the property. It's not my property. I shouldn't be there. So a lot of traffic that goes in and out, cars that were there with no license plates that you could see from the road. I walk, I'm a big walker, so I walk up and down Blue Hill often, and there is a number of cars that go in and out. I have a family with 3 children that drive, so we have 5 cars, so I totally get it that there are people that have 5 and 6 cars in a family, but there is an abundance of traffic, and sometimes there are cars that sit out front. We haven't seen any recently, and it might be because of what the town asked him to do to take the cars away. But he did have cars that were sitting out there for sale. I mean, I guess it's his property, it's right in the front there, but again, it doesn't look nice. And also in that area, we have been told by the police that we cannot park cars in front of our house on 120 Blue Hill Road because of the way the road goes, and it's dangerous. Cars
Right.
can't see you. So we've actually had, when we've had a party and the police come and ask us, please move the cars. So I don't think that the cars should be there. But I do have this that we wrote up, and we have a bunch of signatures. So would you like to give me that?
Sure.
Yeah. Pretty much so we are not in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. Let me read this into the record. In response to appeal number 3747 for a special permit requested by Larry Lowe, 128 Blue Hill Road pursuant to section 194.
Ma'am, can you wait 1 minute? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't want to make her all walk all the way back.
I'm going to be here for,
Yeah, go, well.
do you want to
I
ask a
just-
question?
I'll just ask the question.
Ask me a
Maybe it's
question.
strength in there, I don't know. You're saying cars for sale. There are cars parked there without license plates that had for sale by owner signs?
I cannot say if they didn't have a license plate, to be 100% honest with you, but there have been cars, I think it might have been only 2 in the last, let's say, year that have been out there with a for sale sign on them. Now, people put for sale signs on cars all the time and put them out in front of their house, which
Right.
it's fine.
Personal
But when,
vehicle,
right, so I don't know, is this a broker thing that he's doing, or were those just personal vehicles he was trying to sell? I don't know, and as I said, if this hadn't come up, I would have never even thought twice about the vehicles that were there before. So.
Okay, just wanted more information.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Can't say.
Okay, so we, the undersigned residents of East Fishkill residing on Blue Hill Road and surrounding community oppose the request because it fails the general requirements of Article 9 and further fails to meet the applicable conditions set forth in Section 194-90. Specifically, 1, we believe the special permit will have a significant negative impact on the character and quality of our neighborhood and the township as a whole. 2, 128 Blue Hill Road is at a blind spot that has caused many accidents and near accidents previously. Increased traffic by drivers who are unfamiliar with this hazard turning onto Blue Hill Road from Lot 128 would pose an increased unnecessary traffic hazard to ourselves, our children, and all drivers using this road. Thus, the special permit request fails Part E of Article 9. The use shall not cause undue traffic congestion or create a traffic hazard. 3, the applicant currently maintains an inventory of up to 10 cars on his property, including junk cars that he fixes and displays at the curb for sale. The applicant has also made exterior alterations to his property, clearing the woods behind his home. Thus, the special permit request fails Part B of Section 194-90, as the applicant's property already exhibits external evidence prohibited under the zoning ordinance. 4, the applicant intends to use a home office for a used car broker. A used car broker performs business involved in the retail sale of used cars, including but not limited to matching buyers and sellers. Thus, the special permit request fails Part C of the Section 194-90, which prohibits any involvement or form of real retail sales. 5, this one change can lead to further requests which contradicts East Fishkill's longstanding zoning plan. If granted, this could be the first in a series of zoning changes which would adversely impact many neighborhoods. Additionally, the residents in the surrounding neighborhood use well water, and past development in the area has adversely impacted water quality for many homeowners. As the applicant's intended use for the home office, as well as current behaviors associated with his business, such as maintaining an inventory of cars on his lot, may have an adverse impact on the water table, including the introduction of gasoline, motor oil, and other lubricants, we request a full environmental impact study for the proposal prior to granting a special permit. And this is signed by once again, a whole host, there's 8 pages of signatures. Okay, so we're gonna put that into the record. Go ahead, I see another neighbor. Come on up.
Yes, my name is Kirk Stum. On behalf of our family, we live at 133 Blue Hill Road, which is right across the street from Mr. Lowe. And pretty much the petition says it all. Mr. Dubas had said a lot of things. But in addition to that, I can tell you some of the things that I witnessed. Yes, I have seen cars for sale up in the front of the property, not in the back, in the front of the property by the road. Okay, don't recall if they had plates on them, got to be honest with you there, but they had for sale signs on them. There's many strangers that are looking for the address, okay, which turn around often in my driveway, okay. One was walking on the block when my wife was getting the mail. Okay, we're concerned about traffic on the block, which is a pretty narrow block, and as they said before, that blind,
right,
that comes
your
over.
sight distance isn't great there.
As well as one evening, I guess they were delivering a car, and it kind of half fell off the road, 2 wheels onto my property, which made a nice groove in the grass there. I didn't say anything at the time. I kind of always known what was going on, but, assumed it was kept low-keyed. But recently, I've come to know by seeing pictures that I think were submitted to the town, okay? And I know that property because previous owners, we used to go there and everything, and the kids used to pick chickens out of the chicken coop there. And now recently I seen it, and it looks like there's tree stumps all over the place. The whole thing is cleared, okay? And there's tents all over the place.
There's what?
Carports
tents,
or
tents.
whatever,
Okay.
non-permanent garages or whatever they are.
The canvas
Don't-
structures.
Yeah, don't know what's in them. I'm also concerned about the water table. I know when you're dealing with cars, there's Prestone and antifreeze, tranny fluid, all of this kinds of stuff. You just look at a garage floor in any service station, okay? Getting back to the car that was on my property, I assumed it was going there, but I never said anything. And before the morning light, it was towed out. I had to deal with the groove in the top of the driveway, okay? And as I said, we're constantly getting people looking for the address on the block, okay? So there's some additional things that we're concerned about there. And at 133, we're also opposed to the special permit.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lowe, I think it's just important for us to get on the record. You have told us in the review that you expect to have no employees. You did not expect anybody to come to the property, that you would actually deliver the cars to them. So there is in fact no business being transacted beyond your telephone communication.
That is true. That
And
is
maybe
true.
you know, an overnight storage of a vehicle at your house.
Okay. What I am trying to do is to be in compliance with what the town requires as far as having an in-home office use.
Right.
Okay, but as far as the business that I am asking to do legally, I've been doing it ever since I've been there. Okay, and now I just want to file this application so that I can be within the ordinance, you know, of the town of East Fishkill. You know, that's it. Now, as far as the property is concerned, whenever my son came in, we cut down all the trees in the backyard. You know, other than that, you know, the property has been improved. You know, it's not, I would say, going down in any manner. I stated earlier, you know, as far as repairs are concerned, okay, sure, I'm a mechanic by trade, owned a business down in Westchester well over 20 years, okay? And during that time, I obtained my dealer license, okay? And I transferred through the state from Westchester up here, after purchasing a home up here, to have my license transferred over to my home. The state approved it, okay? And now I'm coming to the town to get the town approval. That's it.
Okay, but again, in doing your business, there wouldn't be any sign up?
No,
Okay, you're not going to have any employees?
no, it's just myself.
This is all what you represented to this board before, okay?
Correct.
Your clients would not be coming to the property?
No, as I say, from having a business down in Westchester for quite a few years, you know, people know the type business that I do. They contact me, Mr. Lowe, I have X amount of dollars that I'd like to purchase such and such car, see if you can find it for me. I go to auctions, I go online and try to find these automobiles, contact the customer, I found such and such, okay, show them the car, okay, they tell me yay or nay, purchase it for me. That's it.
Okay.
Do cars get delivered by flatbed or something to your property?
No, I drive it to them. I mean, and when I say drive it to them, I deliver cars to customers in Connecticut, down the city, you know, Middletown, wherever they live.
So do you have dealer plates? How do you get them?
Yes, I have dealer plates.
Okay, so that's how you're able to get them
Right,
to
I'm a
you?
New York State registered dealer.
Right.
And by having that license, you can obtain dealer plates.
Okay.
And are anything other than personal cars ever at your house, in your
No, not since the time that you said I couldn't have them there, or even display cars for sale. I haven't had any of that.
Did you have display cars for sale before?
Oh, yes, yeah.
There's a neighbor who wishes to come back up. Can we ask you, Mr. Lowe, to step aside, please?
So I just have one question, because if he's just asking for a room in his house to be an office, is that what he's asking for? So he's not doing any building or anything like that?
No. Although he has told us that his expectation is that he wants to be able to put up a garage. He didn't need any variances for it based on, you know, our initial discussion, to be able to clear up some of the structures, tent-like structures that are in.
Right, yeah, you can see that he has a few of those in the back. I mean, you can see those from the road, and like I said,
But
I've
there's
seen them
no
in the
construction
pictures.
related to the business.
Right, so my question then is, probably 99% of people that have an office in their house don't come to the town to ask permission to have a computer and a phone in their house and say, and answer the phone. Is this a beginning to something bigger? Well, you're allowing me to be a broker in a house, and I have a office, so now I'm a business in my home, so why can't I now expand my business that's on my home property to allow me to bring these people in? And that is what our concern is. Anybody, you can have, I have an office in my house too, I sit in it and I'm on my computer every day, and I volunteer for the town, and I volunteer for the soccer, and I have an office. I didn't ask the town if I could make my room an office. It's the further steps that are going to go is what our street is confused. They're very nice, lovely people. They moved in a few years ago. They're very nice. I wave when I walk. I have no problem with them. It's the concern of what's going to become of what they're asking for, to be a broker. So now is their house now a commercial piece of property and no longer residential? So this is our concern. I know that the lot on the corner is part commercial, the beginning of Blue Hill is part commercial, part residential, but we don't want that going up Blue Hill Road. We don't want commercial properties popping up here and there on Blue Hill Road. So this is our concern, and that was, he has taken care of the issues that you told him to take care of, but our concern is that going to continue?
Right.
Will it happen again? So, but otherwise, him having an office in his house, I don't care that he has an office in his house, I just would not like to see it become a retail establishment, people coming and going constantly. So that was just one.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we get requests. I mean,
Right.
if you're really running a business out of your home, yes, you're supposed to get a permit for that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's just a single person where they're required by the state, as Mr. Lowe's indicating, to have a business address.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a real estate broker, for example, come in recently.
Mortgage
And-
broker, yeah,
Mortgage
we've had a
broker.
couple of them.
They're required to have a business address. So
Okay.
they make their home their business address, they're supposed to get a
But so if it becomes a business address, so I just want to clearly understand, if it becomes a business address, is it now a commercial?
No.
It can be
No, it
now
doesn't change the
commercial, like it
zoning,
can bring business, he can now, or anybody could now bring, right, to change the zoning, where now he can be a retail
No.
business.
No.
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you.
And there, again, within the code, there are requirements and there are limitations to what types of businesses would be allowed to have that in office.
Okay.
And so one
And with
of,
our zoning on Blue Hill Road, though, that cannot be changed, right? Or-
no,
We're not changing the zoning.
Okay,
but once the once the in-home office is approved, it does stay with the property.
it does stay with the property,
Right.
but the zoning won't change as far as
No.
being a commercial piece of property, and you can run a retail business out of it.
Correct.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Sure, come on up.
Just quick, what type of function?
Please come to the microphone. Thank you.
I'm not gonna let you cheat.
It's okay.
What type of functions would be allowed under that permit? You were saying that there are various things that would be allowed to be done there under that
It's
permit?
generally professional, licensed professions, okay? You can be an attorney, you can be an accountant, you can be a real estate or mortgage broker, things of that nature. It's generally licensed. Sorry, what, John?
But I mean,
Well, yes, that's
specific,
true. We do have we do have a music teacher that has a approved.
so specifically, a used car broker, I mean, what
Well, that's what
business?
that's what we're considering based on his
Yeah,
application.
I'd like to know what would be allowed to be conducted under that permit.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
We're
I
not gonna
don't know.
allow 20 cars for
Right.
sale parked in front of the house, if that's what you're asking, no. This is for a very limited request for him to use, may not even be a dedicated room, just to use his address, his home address for state purposes as his business address.
But with no employees, no
Yeah.
sign, no repair being done at the house, no visitors coming to the house. The parameters of his actual business operation would be very, very limited.
And we've made it perfectly clear there's not gonna be any car repair going on at the
Right.
premises for these vehicles.
Hi, my name's Dave Brand. I live at 129 Blue Hill Road. I just have a question, what you were just saying now. How do you police that? How do you prevent him from doing all the things we're suggesting he might be doing once you agree to this permit?
The zoning enforcement officer that you call,
Right.
to tell them.
You as neighbors become the enforcers, okay?
The police officers don't go around and check on that kind of stuff, no.
Right.
If you see something that you think's improper, you notify the zoning enforcement
Well,
officer.
haven't we just done that?
I mean,
isn't
that's
it-
that's why the property's getting cleaned up, because it came to our attention that he was using it for keeping several unregistered vehicles. You're not allowed to do that. So we said, look, you gotta go clean that up. We're not gonna consider anything until you get in compliance with.
So now he wants to build a big garage to hide it.
Well, because again, one of the problems is he's put up structures without proper permits, so we're trying to get that effectuated. You know, for whatever reasons, you know, he seems to be a good guy. You said he's a good guy, but we're trying to get this cleaned up just as much. But that's the process. The short answer is, you guys see something that's improper, you contact the zoning enforcement officer. They'll go out, she or he'll go out and look at it, and if there's a problem, he'll get a notice, appearance notice to go into court on it.
All right, thank you. Do I have to sign?
Please. Anybody else?
I'm Malcolm Mills, I'm 199 Blue Hill Road. I've lived on that road since 1980, and I've had my little battles with the town, I can tell you, on water issues and developments. But it's a very nice road. We still like to keep it like that. That's why I've stayed there so long. And what I'm concerned at is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you're talking now that he has dealer's plates. That infers to me that that's a business, that is not just an office. If he operates vehicles from there with dealer plates, that is a business. And it's zoned as residential, and it should remain as residential, and there should be no business other than your own private office in that house. It is a dangerous bend on the road, I'm aware of that. And also I have seen cars parked up high on the frontage with for sale signs on. Now, occasionally you get that in a development or anywhere. People want to sell their vehicle, but not on a regular basis. I hear stories about motorcycles there. I don't know whether that is true. Are there motorcycles being sold there, out of there?
Well, that would be
I
a
don't know
motor
that-
vehicle. I don't know, again, not supposed to be happening.
We did have a discussion with Mr. Lowe about quads being used on the property, and we did remind him that they are not permitted.
But
to
what
be.
concerns me is that he admits that he's been using this property for illegal purposes, and yet the zoning board and the town has done really nothing about it. I mean, we're now sitting here arguing about whether he should be allowed to continue or whether he should not. I can't see how you can be a broker and you're going to sell cars and there will not be people coming to the house, to the site. I mean, I can see this becoming just another example of abuse by somebody who gets approval from the town board to operate a business on a limited basis, and then it will expand. It's a residential road. It's a very nice road, or was a very nice road. We still have Mark Jordan there, the veterinarian. He still rides his horses along there. I used to ride my horses along there, but I can tell you I would be fearful of doing that today. And we certainly are getting more traffic along there. And it's important that it stays as a residential area, and that for somebody to start putting a business there, to my mind, not only is it illegal, it's also immoral, and it's not taking into consideration the neighborhood for the people that have lived there for a long time and kept the whole area in quite a nice condition. There are plenty of sites on Route 52 that were car dealerships, not 100 yards from where we live, and they are empty and they're for sale. I would say if he wants to be a car broker, that would be an ideal thing to do, to either buy one of those or move into one of those and not have cars parked at the back to aggravate the neighbors and also to despoil the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Do I have a motion to close and reserve?
So moved.
So that we can have some discussion and time to consider all the comments that have come to our attention. So that's motion by Aziz. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so Mr. Lowe, we're not going to make a decision this evening. We do have 62 days. We will try to get to it at the next meeting. But I think we as a board need to consider all the comments that we've received this evening. Okay? So we'll hopefully see you next month. All right.
Do I need to sign?
What?
No.
No, you're fine. As I had previously mentioned, items number 8, 9, and 10 are not going to be considered this evening. There are various issues related to those that they need additional work. So we are up to item number 11, which is, we're done with the public hearing, so this is just a review. Item number 11, Appeal 3744, Joseph Flick. Joseph P. Flick, 56 Wintergreen Place, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 1-foot variance for a proposed 5-foot fence, which is to be located in front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance.
Is that you?
Mr. Flick. Or Mr. Gillespie.
Is Mr. Gillespie coming up for Mr. Flick? We almost went to number 12.
Malcolm, I'll give you a call. What was that? Waiting for the place to
He's
clear out.
moving us along here. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Flick was here last month, making a presentation relative to, I guess, so I'm clear, 2 items. I guess he's looking for a 5-foot fence, so I think he believes a foot variance relative to the height, question mark. But more applicable, he is looking to install a fence on his property, which is actually going to be, a portion of the fence is going to be in the front of the rear of his home. So under, I believe, Section 194-98, that requires a variance from this board. You had requested a number of things from him based upon the last meeting, discussion. I don't know what you have, what you don't have, but I've got a few things with me tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Frick, he's actually out of the country, so that's why he asked me to represent him.
Okay. He had represented that there were some septic tanks in the front area there that just seemed huge for the area that he was talking about, and that was one of the reasons he was saying he couldn't move the fence back. So that was, I think, one of our biggest concerns about what was stalling him from moving the fence back.
You saw this? Did he give you that? He's saying these are septic tanks, which are look like they're 30 feet long.
I'm going to enter this for the record. This was provided to me. This is Bob Nigel had a copy of the survey. He had an updated survey done. And then there was a question about the number of, I guess, 2 play sets and then the location of the septic. So as prepared by Mr. Flick, not by this office, hand drawn on there, you can see on that little plan there are 2 play sets. Okay, I'm sorry, I only have 1 copy of that. If you want, can pass it around.
Yeah.
Those little squares, those are existing play sets. Okay.
They are on the survey that we have that show those extremely large septic tanks, but on the survey that Mike is now, or the hand-drawn survey that Mark is now handing out, it is showing that the distance from the side yards, the one place that appears to be 26 feet, the other one, I think it looked like 12 feet, so we're going to have to deal with that.
Right. Now, the deal is, too, is when I asked Mr. Flick, again, not having the advantage of being here last month, I said, typically you would ask to get those, depending on the size of the play set and so forth, get those on there very tight, which means you get the surveyor out there to really get it tight. Those were actually hand-drawn on there, so I can't sit there and really verify the accuracy of those. But that's what I've got to work with tonight. That being said, in addition, there was some details relative to the septic that I think you wanted them to, wanted to clarify. He did, number 1, hire Jones Septic to locate the septic tank, and he also went to the health department and obtained a copy of the as-built, which they perform when the house goes in and the septic goes in. They mount it, and it's a rough drawing with some dimensions, pull ties off the corners of the home. But he did do that, and on the plan that I just handed to you, it details the location of tank, which is by the house.
Was it 1 tank or 2 tanks? Because he said there were 2 tanks.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one septic tank, and then there's a pump chamber. So he has a pump system.
Okay, that's what we was asking him about. But he didn't say yes, he didn't think that
So,
was it.
just for the record, well, this is a copy of the as-built, and you can see the location of the home as proximity to the tanks and the fields, and give you some idea as to how things kind of line up. Everything is off that side of the home.
So he can't put the fence over that, can he? I mean, I guess it depends where you're putting the footings and how it actually lays out.
The post themselves.
Right.
You don't want to stick the post in the middle of septic. But
Right.
on the layout there, it looks like where he wants to install the fence, what's called on the front portion, he misses it. He misses it, but to push it further back, he may be in that tile field, so, to substantiate the reason why he's asking to come around the front and wrap it around, it does 2 things. It avoids the septic, as well as kind of keeps the place sets within the fenced-in area, okay?
Okay, well, we do have to ask the question, the smaller place set, can it be moved?
And I guess the question I would have is, not being wholly familiar, why would it need to be moved? And I'm not
Well,
particularly
because
sure.
right now it's 12 and 20 feet in, 12 feet on one corner and 20 feet on the other, so if he straightened it out, and we're at 20, it's minimizing the variance that's needed. For 12 feet, right now, he needs a 13-foot sideline variance.
For the place set.
For the place
So
set.
the place set, no
Which
matter...
that place set, I mean, I think he's showing, am I reading this right, that this is 17 feet on one side?
I think it's just a boxed-in area, and then they have, they have the place set within a, like a mulched-in area, so that's what you're seeing there. That encompasses the little box of the place set. So the question is...
Okay, so I'm not sure that that's if there's just a piece of wood on the ground delineating mulch, I'm not sure that that's a place set. We need to understand, where is the place set?
Is a place set, question
Right.
mark, subscribe to the same requirements of setbacks then would, like a shed? Is it 25, 50, 50?
Yeah.
Same deal, no matter how big, no matter
Yeah.
how small.
If it's a structure, if it requires placement on the ground.
So if I get a teeter-totter, put on the ground, a little plank, that requires that. I actually didn't know it was to that
If it's a
extent. I'm just
Permanent
asking.
piece of equipment.
Well, if you're doing it, it'll be engineered to perfection, so.
I'm just asking a question, so you learn something every day, I wanted to make make that I knew.
Just stop you for 1 second. Aziz isn't feeling well, so he's going to go home. We're going to ask Mary to join us as our alternate. Okay?
Sorry.
It wasn't me, was it?
No, that's fine. Feel better.
Now that he's gotten us all sick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your stomach, is it?
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption, but
So the quick answer is maybe. I certainly would...
can what you need to find out is within the mulch area, exactly where is the place at?
Make a
Okay.
picture of it.
Yeah, that would help, actually. Thank you.
Yes, I'll have to get you a picture. Unfortunately, I don't have one with me. I do have an aerial shot, but unfortunately, it's not very clear. So a frontal shot from the road would make it much clearer, but I think...
Well, in this case, you're going to need actual shots of the play equipment itself.
Right, well, I think what I'll do is I'll
This
go
is
out there
the
and actually
septic
pull
report
ties
that
off
they
the edge
have?
of the home and make
Okay.
sure it's in there to the half, to
These
the
are
couple
the
inches,
measurements
so.
that we're talking about.
And with the fence, this originally lined up with the house where he wanted to put it, but now with the septic in that area, is he going to change that so that it goes behind, or is he keeping it?
I think if you take that, even have my 11 and compare it with this, I think it's fairly similar, but the septic tank is located
Much further.
on that.
Yeah, I know, but it's much further forward. This one,
Pass this down to Barbara so she can,
We
she
looked
and Jim
at
can
it.
see that.
yeah, we looked at it, and
It's not clear to me where
no,
the
this
fence
isn't it.
is.
This is the play set. This one, okay. Here, the tanks are indicated they're forward.
Right.
Also, the front line, whereas in the one he drew, he was even with the front line of the house. That right, is what you're trying to get to? So if he's gonna try to go around the front of the tanks, or is he gonna go behind the
I think the
tanks?
intent is to go behind the tanks.
Okay,
And
so,
that's what this shows, which is that dotted line which goes behind the dislocation and then comes around. You
okay.
know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the intent.
Oh, I see. Because this one doesn't have it drawn.
So, but why does it have to go all the way to the front line of the house? Why can't it be halfway up the side of the house there? We got to ask the question.
But that's what.
You
that's
got to
what
be
we're-
able to defend what you're asking for.
Well, that's what Barbara and I are trying to get to. From looking where the tanks are, he's gonna be
Right,
to the middle of the house now.
right.
I presume he's gonna wanna miss the distribution box too.
But what is he trying to accomplish with the fence, and why can't he just put up some landscaping?
I think that, in lieu of the fence, you mean?
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just to kind of keep everything in the backyard and.
And keep the kids in. Didn't he talk about keeping the kids in too?
I remember
Right.
I played the place that up.
Don't tell us where.
But we had it against the woods, and my wife was very concerned about the kids just like wandering into the woods, so we just put a very small post and rail, it really didn't do anything, but
Right.
it made it like a barrier.
And
And I think it's the
trees
same,
could, bushes could do that.
I think that's the same thought, but,
Okay.
you asked the question, that's what I believe the deal is. I don't know if he ever gave you a detail on the proposed fence, and it's.
No, he didn't.
It's the one that's highlighted there, it's a 4-rail PVC fence. So it's not that it's a solid fence, it's also not overly obtrusive in terms of a wall, you can see through it, so if that makes a difference. Also, the board had asked, it's understood, there's a wetland on the right-hand side of the property, New York State DEC wetland, and
Yes,
you wanted some assurance that there
Right.
wasn't going to be any permitting. Do you have a copy of the letter from DEC dated August 4th?
We do, yes. So I'm shocked at how quickly they're responding these days.
I was floored when we walked in with this thing. But they have issued a letter saying that there's no jurisdiction and they're okay.
These are
with
for our
this.
file?
They're for you, yeah.
Okay, Pam can have those. Yeah, so that, he took care of that issue. That was, we definitely, had some concern, but he showed that was a non-issue for us.
I can't even get him to return a call, and he turns around and gets a letter in a week.
All right, so when we saw him last month, we specifically told him he needed a survey and dimensions. So is this what he's giving us as a survey, his hand-drawn dimensions?
That's what's been provided.
Knowing that at least one of these play structures now we're finding out is actually a mulch pit, has he really given us the information that we need? I'm not sure he has.
Again, it's just, we're asking for a survey to know where things are, and that's really just.
A hand drawing,
done
right.
surveys.
You violate the educational list in New York when you draw on a survey.
I hear you.
Based on the existing
Yes,
survey.
you're correct. So with that being said, what happens is it's understood the way this board goes ahead and schedules hearings, it's very specific. Variance X within a foot, and so forth.
Well,
So-
because if you get it for 12 feet and you really needed 13 feet, you've wasted all of our time, the neighbor's time and everything, so. We did tell him he needed a survey.
Okay, and when I saw the handwritten, I said, was this requested, it was handwritten, so that's all I got, okay? So, here's what if it's okay, I mean, obviously, the next step, he was looking for to go to public hearing, but I think the board's gonna have difficulty in doing that when we don't know what we're advertising for.
Right.
Okay, so let's do it this, let's take the month, let's get it tighter, okay? We certainly have time, relative to getting a fence installed. It's not like we're running, it's the middle of November and the frost is coming.
Right.
So if we can come back next month, and we'll come with a couple, little tighter package knowing, which I know what you want, and we'll get it done.
What we also have found on surveys is that other structures tend to show up when the surveyor has gone out there. And so we just, again, if we're going to deal with one issue, let's deal with anything and everything, like
clean it
play
all up.
equipment, anything that needs attention on here. Let's just take a look at it once, okay?
Mr. Gillespie goes out there and he can do lines from the existing survey, I think that would be fine too.
Yeah, if I pull tape ties and I sign it, you know, I know what you need.
We need somebody who can attest to these as being actual, factual measurements.
I don't think that's
okay?
an unreasonable request.
Got it.
All
So
right?
we're going to see you next month?
Well, you may see me, or you may not see me, but hopefully you'll have better information, so. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good night. Quiet down.
All right.
Do we need a call, please?
Okay, item number 12, Appeal 3748 Milanese. I hope I'm saying that right? Okay, Matthew Milanese, 3489 Route 52.
Yes.
Stormville is requesting a variance to allow a proposed 36-foot by 40-foot utility building to be rebuilt in front of his existing house pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Applicant demolished a 1,200-square-foot structure in approximately the same location in September 2014. Okay, go ahead. This is the first time we're seeing you, so
Yeah, I'm not really.
help us
good with this.
understand what you're trying to do.
In this here, you have, it says, the building to be rebuilt in front of the house. It's actually, when you pull in the driveway, it's off to the left side. You have a copy
What
of...
it is if it's in the front of the rear line of your house.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, gotcha. You have a copy of this here? The site plan?
We have
I have extras if you need.
this. Yes.
Okay. Where it was turned a little bit more, and it was slightly smaller. The reason I decided that I wanted to put it here is the topography of my property. It kind of goes up in steps, and the way the old barn was built, it was built in what looked like 4 different sections.
Okay.
So it was built, and then another piece built, kind of stepped up the hill, and then there was horse stalls on the back with a hay loft up top.
Okay.
This, I didn't want to be building up a hill and excavating a large amount of the hill to prevent runoff and stuff like that. There's also a very large, I believe it's an oak tree that I want to keep. So I don't want erosion pulling down from that side of the hill and that tree possibly falling on the barn.
Okay.
Also, I rotated it slightly, because if you look at the way the north-south sits, I do plan eventually on doing solar panels on the roof of the building.
Okay.
So it's going to be a very good spot, and they say that you need a southern-facing
exposure,
structure.
right.
So the peak of the roof will actually be running east-west, so that I could have the solar panels on the south side of the roof there.
Okay, can I ask a couple questions
Sure,
if you don't mind?
not a problem.
You mentioned that you demolished a house in September 2014. Why did you demolish what was there?
It was a barn that, if you looked at the roof, it wasn't straight, kind of went like that, and I needed to demolish it because
So it
the
was
bank...
past its useful
The
life.
bank would not give me a mortgage with that barn on the property.
Got it. Okay, understood. And so that barn was approximately, it was a barn, okay?
Yes.
It was approximately 1,200 square feet.
It may have been a little bit bigger. When I went for the demolition permit, I was told that I could do a hand-drawn structure, and I was using a rolling wheel to measure, so
that's
it's
Approximately.
approximately 1,200 square feet. It was also an
You're-
L shape.
You're
so-
now requesting a utility vehicle. Explain or define what your use of it's going to be for us to understand what do you mean by utility vehicle. What I'm getting at is it a garage? Is it a barn again? What is its actual use?
It's gonna be a pole barn. I've gotten a couple different preliminary estimates from builders and stuff like that for a pole barn to be built. It's gonna be used to store vehicles. I like...
Okay, back up. It's going to be used to store vehicles. Jim, can you, thank you? Can we just ask them to lower their volume outside? Vehicle, motor vehicles or?
We still have a meeting going on inside. We can't hear it.
Motor vehicles, recreational vehicles, a boat over the
So why
winter.
are we not calling this a garage?
I just figured because it was a pole barn. that it was going to, that was
You're
getting built.
storing motorized vehicles, it sounds like it's a garage. And plus, you've got a driveway going right up to it.
Right.
So it does appear to us that it's a garage.
Okay.
Okay? Is it going to have a second story? Are you putting storage in there?
No, there will not be
Okay.
anything above. It's going to have, I assume, 12-foot walls, because the boat is pretty large.
That's fine.
So, yeah.
Understand, we're not passing any judgment what it is.
Understandable, yes,
We're
I
just trying to
understand that,
understand, utility vehicle could be, you've got a garden tractor in there, you know what I mean? It's,
The reason for the name of the building is because, like I said, pole barn, I didn't really know what quite to name it, so.
okay. You have there's a garage, a one-story block garage, very, very close to the front of your property.
Yes, that, I bought this.
Explain what that is.
That is a very small two-car garage.
Okay.
It might as well be like a 1.5-car garage, except for the fact that it has a divider for 2 doors.
Okay.
That was there when I bought the house 2 years ago. The way the driveway comes in with the pitch, because there's a lot, 52, the way it comes up and over the hill there by package pavement, it looks like it was cut when it was constructed. So my property goes up like this and then in. And that garage is built right there. So getting access and trying to store a vehicle in there is very difficult. You have to do almost like a 3-point jockey to get a vehicle in straight. And on top of that, when you get a vehicle in there, good luck opening the door to get out.
Do you
It's
know
very
when this
hard.
was built, though?
I do
I'm trying
not.
to understand, does it predate zoning? I mean, has it been there for a while?
It's old.
It's old,
before
okay.
63, yeah.
Okay.
The house on the deed is 51. For the life of me, I don't know when that garage was built.
Because the reason I'm asking, this is a state road, so, and it
I
appears that this is only 5 feet from your property line, so this
Yes.
does need a 95-foot variance because it's of it being on a state road.
Right,
For
'cause
us
it
to
gets
clean this
doubled,
up
right?
while we're dealing with your other thing. Is you're going to keep this structure? It doesn't make sense for you to keep it? Or
I mean,
while you're
I
cleaning
planned
up
on
your
keeping it.
property?
I didn't see any sense in knocking it down if it was already there. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just trying to understand with the new structure that if you're putting up, if you can consolidate the uses and just have everything in the one structure, it would make more sense. But if you want to keep it, I'm not saying you can't by any means. I'm
yeah, I just,
trying to understand how we clean it up.
I had
that's all.
contemplated taking it down at one point or another. Excuse me. If it's there, I'm already paying taxes on it. I mean, I figured I might as well leave it. If it's there, it's something less to deal with, and it would just cost me money to take it down anyway. It's not falling down, so.
Yours is a prime example of exactly why we ask for surveys, because on your survey, it shows us that you have a fence that is encroaching on your neighbor's property in the rear of your property. It appears that it's your fence because it goes around.
Right. Yeah, that was an
So-
old barbed wire fence from there. From my
That
understanding,
you're going to take down that portion of it, or you got to fix it?
in all honesty, like, I think it's already mostly down. I mean, I can go back with wire snips and cut it down. That's not an issue
It's showing
at
up on
all.
your survey,
Right,
so
that's
you
not an
have
issue
to
at all.
address it, either you're going
snip
to, it's going to disappear before
Right.
we're done with you, then that's fine.
That's fine. I'll go
Okay.
back with snips and cut it. That's not a big
It does
issue.
appear it's the entire rear length of your, or the portion that we have on here.
Right.
At
The,
least halfway over, you've got to
The
deal with it.
property did have horses on it at some point or another within the past maybe 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So, I mean,
So
all
it did serve
throughout.
its purpose, but you don't need it now.
Right, all throughout this whole area, there's wire fence and remnants of electrical fence and stuff like that I've slowly gone and clipped. I mean, already I've done a large improvement on this property. I took 2 30-yard dumpsters, probably about, it was like a garbage pit, that
Okay.
whole barn. So,
No, that's
I
fine.
mean,
We appreciate your
Yep.
agreeing to clean it up.
Yes.
Okay, because, again, showing the survey, we can't have you
That's
continue to have something on
understandable.
your neighbor's property. All right, any comments or questions from board members? Those are the only issues that we had raised. So we should.
So what's the size of the house? The-
Oh, I honestly don't have the footprint. It's small. I know the square footage is about 980 square feet.
How big is your garage that you're putting up, your utility bill?
40 wide, 36 deep.
I mean, it's that big, it's obviously,
Okay, so we've got to figure out these measurements here.
yeah,
Okay.
he needs a variance for the size of it.
It's 1,440 square feet.
It's obviously
the
bigger than the
proposed
footprint of the
building.
house.
Yeah.
So it is bigger than the 750 or 60% of the footprint.
When we've had larger structures like this, we have asked the applicants to provide us with a drawing of how you anticipate using that space.
Okay.
So it helps us justify, and it helps your neighbors understand.
Like an
You're putting
interior
things
drawing?
in there, yes.
Okay.
Where do you expect, your boat's going to be here, your,
Right.
tractor, or whatever you're going to put in there.
Okay. And I could draw that myself, right?
You can lay that
Okay.
out yourself, yes.
making sure.
Again, it just helps to justify why you're asking for this size. The fact that you had an existing structure helps, but, you are asking for a larger size. So, you have a large property here, no question, 6.4 acres approximately. So the potential use, you could have all sorts of toys in here.
And if you, it sounds like you do have some kind of idea what it's going to look like, if you have a drawing or something from whoever you've been in contact with, so we could see what it would look like.
Is this going to be visible from the road?
For a brief second at 55 miles an hour. I mean, my driveway is maybe about 10 or 12 feet wide, and I mean, I've told many people in the area, like where I live, and they're like, they think I live on the other side of Shade and Sun Nursery because they drive by my house so fast, and if I don't point it out to them, you're going right up and over the hill. You're more worried about, other vehicles.
So is your anticipation, are you anticipating that the exterior of the garage is going to match your house?
Yes, actually, I plan on putting the same siding.
Okay.
So it's going to be, and the siding on my house is, it's like a dark green, so it
It'll actually
blends
blend in
in
well. Okay.
very well with the surrounding area. These are actually just pictures of trusses that I had. This actually doesn't show any. I'm sorry, I didn't print out the.
No, that's okay, just to have it prepared for, just in case one of your neighbors
Okay.
asks.
Right.
Okay. Pam, so for us to proceed with this, we're going to, let's include the garage, so we're going to need a 95-foot front line variance for the garage. And then we're going to need the measurement of the footprint of his house, and for us, for the next time, he'll provide us with the footprint or the drawing of how you anticipate using it. Right?
Okay, so from me, you want remove the wire fence,
Yes, thank you.
the usage plan of the interior,
Correct.
and you want the footprint of the house.
Well, Pam
Oh,
should be
she-
able to get you the information on the size of your footprint. Yeah, from a property card in the assessor's office. We should be able to get the footprint and do
Okay.
that calculation out.
But when we advertise, we have,
No, we would advertise just simply for what's listed here, except that we have to include the front line, the front line variance for the garage.
but does it include the fact that he's asking for more garage than he's entitled to?
That it is exceeding the 60%, yes.
So we have to ask for that too.
Yes, do we need to have him amend his application?
When he comes in to pick up the sign, he can do it.
Okay, you're going to, after we set you up for a public hearing for next month,
Right.
Pam's going to give you instructions for a sign and for the noticing that you have to do.
Okay.
When you come to the office to collect your sign, we're going to ask you to amend your application
Okay.
so that you are requesting each of these additional things.
Right.
Okay?
Got it.
And then this way, let's just take care of everything at one time. Let's hear from your neighbors, see if there's any issues, and then.
And if you
take it from
could
there.
bring some pictures also, so that, we
Okay, print it out, or
just
flash
so we
drive?
see what
or-
the views would be from the street.
No,
Print it out.
Thank you.
Got
Thank
it.
you. That worked well, didn't it?
I didn't know if there was a projector.
Well, there is.
Okay, print it out. I'll bring out printed out copies.
We'd spend half the night getting it ready for you to show us one picture.
Color,
so.
black and white?
color helps, obviously,
Of
but
just
it doesn't
the
matter.
area of where
What-
it's
you know
going?
I think what helps us is for us to be able to see from the road, what are people gonna see?
Okay.
All right?
Got it.
What's
I'll
there
take-
now?
I'll
What's
take
the screening?
pictures.
If there's vegetation there, that really helps.
Right, yeah, there's trees along the entire road. I mean, people have actually thought that that little tiny garage was my house because they're driving by so fast.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think a picture of that garage would help too, just.
Yep.
I don't go by this area very often, so. All right, do I have a motion to allow this for public hearing for next month?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll see you next month. Pam will give you your instructions for your sign,
okay. Right
okay?
now?
And then we will see you next month. Why am I looking at June?
That's the ninth, correct?
That's the Wednesday next month.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Can you come in by the end?
Okay, item number 13, Appeal 3749 Grimes. Scott and Liz Grimes, 79 Woodcrest Drive, Hopewell Junction, are requesting a variance to allow 54 feet of 6-foot fencing to be installed in front of the rear line of their house pursuant to Section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Scott Grimes, and just asking me to put up a pool, and the deck's going to go around the pool, and we're putting the fence just from the front part of the house straight across. It's going to be 54 feet long, and it's going to be 15 and a half feet from the property line, so there's not a problem there. And we really aesthetically, looks nice with the house, and you can see there, we're going to put 3 rows of Sharons. We have them already, they're 4 foot tall.
Okay.
And then I figured it'd grow nice and it'll, look nice in the neighborhood too.
And so you don't think the Rose of Sharon is enough screening to be able to give you the privacy you want?
No, I
Because those can
think
get pretty big, so.
Yeah, well, they grow up, they could grow up to, depending on how you trim them. Yeah,
Right.
I had them when I grew up, my dad had them, like, 10, 12 feet there.
Right.
Like, you just gotta keep them trimmed
And
down.
they can get wide.
Yes, they get about 4 to 6 foot wide.
Yeah.
So we put 3 across, it should, cover the fence anywhere. But it's about privacy too, and it's a busy road in the neighborhood, so we don't want any kids walking by and go, oh, a pool. And then,
Okay.
Is the pool up already?
it is. I have a picture of you, I took a picture before I left the house of the pool and where the fence would go.
I mean, can you put it back a little bit from the very front corner?
Well, what we're to do is from the corner, we're going to angle it back a little bit. So it's not exactly front, it's going to go back probably maybe 6 inches to a foot at an angle from the corner of the house towards the back of the house.
Oh, okay, the way you drew it, it looks like it's actually coming forward.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Just so you can see, it looks like it's actually coming forward.
Oh, then that was my bad. It's actually going to go...
It'll go back more,
Yeah,
okay.
It's going to go back. I talked to the fence guy, I talked to the
Thank
fence
you.
guy. But he said, yeah, because I told him, I said, I want it to come forward. He goes, well, we can angle it, 6 to 12 inches back towards the house.
Probably just an optical delusion from the curve in the road.
What's that?
Joking, optical delusion from the curve in the road.
Okay.
There are a couple other houses on the block that did the same thing. So I wouldn't be the lone wolf on the block.
Motion for public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will see you next month. Pam will give you your instructions for your sign. And remember, Pam's right there at the end.
Okay, so take
Just
that now.
remember, next meeting is a Wednesday. Okay, item number 14, Appeal 3750, Earhart, 15 Ladue Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a variance to allow his recreational vehicle to be parked in the front of the rear line of the house pursuant to Section 194-52.1 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you today?
Yeah, I know, that's why we listed it as C.
Okay.
Okay?
I
And
appreciate
there's
that.
also other instructions that are in the works.
Okay.
I just,
So we understand you're new to this neighborhood. or fairly new to this neighborhood.
Very new, and
And you've parked your RV in your previous residence in your driveway
with
and
no problems whatsoever.
not had an issue, but you're in a more established neighborhood and,
I'm a new guy in
Right.
a neighborhood that was built when I was born.
Right.
And everybody's been there since then, and I understand the idea of, I'm not gonna sit here and try to sugarcoat it, it's
Right.
huge. It's 36 feet long, it's a fifth-wheel camper, it's 13 feet tall, you can't hide it, it's not. However, the way the house is built, there's physical and mechanical limitations to put it behind the house.
Ladue Road is on a significant hill. I'm not sure whereabouts you are.
My house is
so-
probably on the worst hill
Okay.
on that
Okay.
road. It's kind of built on a pinnacle.
So your
And
backyard goes down or goes up?
It goes down significantly.
Okay.
The whole property does, except for the very, very top is a flat part where the well is, but that flat part is a plateau. I can't physically back the wheel base of the camper and the truck. First of all, it's a two-wheel drive truck. I wouldn't be able to back it up the lawn. The combination of the two is 26,000 pounds. It's a 16,000-pound camper, or 25,000, and a 9,000-pound truck.
Okay.
Two-wheel drive truck, I can't back it up on grass up a hill like that, but the bumper of the camper would hit the earth prior to it making it up the hill if I were to try to get it up on the top part. And the highway department says I would have to cut down about 12 trees that were planted when the house was built.
Okay.
And they range from like 14-inch diameter to 20-inch diameter trees, and they're all screening for the headlights going into the residence. That's what they were put up
So
for
these
initially.
trees, if you had to cut down the trees, it would impact your home or your neighbor's home?
The neighborhood.
The neighborhood, okay.
The trees are fine without a camper there. I can't get the camper there anyway. I'm hoping that somebody is going to go out and take a look at the property.
Yeah,
I try to supply pictures, but it really doesn't know justice
Right.
because it just looks like a flat piece of property. I want to I'd like to move it back a little bit from where it is, but I'm limited by my septic fields are right there. So I would go back absolutely as far as I possibly could because it's safer for me hooking up the camper. There's a couple of things that I've learned in the last few days. One of the big oppositions, I believe, is that some of my neighbors think that this is occupied. It absolutely is not occupied.
Okay.
My intention is to have electric run to it because unfortunately there's batteries in it. They're $400 worth of batteries. If the thing freezes during the winter, if the batteries freeze, if you don't keep them conditioned, it's $400 a year in batteries, and that's... So basically there's no water supply to it other than what you can carry on board, which we don't leave it full when it's parked. There is no septic discharge on the camper because I'm not hooked up to a septic, and obviously you can't use the facilities in there if there's no way to drain it.
Right.
My intention is to run 20 amp service down there because that's what I would need, just regular household current. You can't run, the air conditioner requires 30 amp. But the camper actually requires a 50 amp service to run.
Okay.
I just need to condition my batteries. There will be power down there, post in the ground kind of thing. I want to put a concrete pad because again, it's 16,000 pounds. I don't want the thing buried in the ground.
Right.
The pictures I supplied, that's as honest as I could be about it. It's nowhere near the road. It doesn't block the line of sight, anything like that. It's not, it's not an old camper. It's fairly new.
It's fairly new today. 6 years from now, 10 years from now.
But however, I've been camping for a long time. This is our fourth camper since, you don't keep, well, if you camp, you just don't keep campers that long.
It does beg the question, have you contacted a place like Hopewell Easy Storage where they have outdoor storage for things like this?
Yes.
And why doesn't this work?
It's first of all, it's cost prohibitive.
for me to have to go there to get my, we can't, when, unfortunately, I'm injured right now. If I weren't injured, my neighbors wouldn't even know I had a camper. I mean, we use it a lot. We have young children, we camp all the time.
Okay.
In fact, you know, it would only, it's going to be there mostly just in the wintertime. The problem with storing it elsewhere is that you have no control over, I can go in there periodically and check on the thing, got a lot of problems with animals getting in it, or, you know, ice problems on the roof, that kind of thing. It's like $170 a month to store a camper at one of these places.
Okay.
And that's
But
just
again,
really,
you can't condition the batteries.
and you don't have, there's no electric, you have to go indoors for that, and I don't even know what that costs.
Okay.
But it had to be undercover, and then you have to pay for that electric and all of that. So it's really not, to me, it's just
It's
kind of.
cost prohibitive.
Very cost prohibitive, and it's very inconvenient. I understand the law changed in 2014, but, you know, quite frankly, when you build a driveway, it goes to the front of your house. You know, a camper is not something that you want to be driving across your lawn on a regular basis. So, you know, I wish I'd have known that the law was
That's fine.
was
This is a
changing.
registered licensed vehicle, right?
Absolutely.
All right, and at all times, it will be a registered licensed vehicle? Or
There's a license, well, sometimes, New York State has, I haven't done it yet, but I was considering, they have a prorate, like you leave your license plate on it, but you only pay for
like 6 months of
part of
year or
the seat. Yeah, in other words,
Okay.
if you're not using it, you don't pay for the, you know, you pay late for registration. But yeah, it's registered, I tow it with my truck. It's not a, yeah, it's not just it's not a mobile home or anything like that, it's a fifth-wheel camper. One of my neighbors apparently the other day thought that my son was living in there. I don't know where they're coming up with this, but honestly, nobody's confronted me. They've confronted my children. I drive a big truck. You can't miss my truck. They've not confronted me. I'd love to talk to them, but.
Okay, be prepared when we introduce it at the public hearing next month to say what you've said to us tonight, that it is
But
not occupied.
and I do want you to understand that if somebody does go out there, I want you to understand that where it's parked, if I can get it back a little further, I would, and I would like to, it would be beneficial to me. But I am limited by the septic fields are there, right where it is, right behind it. And then if you look around the rest of the property, I'll be more than happy to, you know, I'll have my son try to, you know, hook the thing up, and I'll move it around for you to see that I can't physically.
That's fine.
It would tip over.
If you'll be around this weekend, I can try to come up this weekend.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I know you said you can't get it into the rear because it's steep, but what about the driveway? Or could you extend the drive, you know, put a,
The driveway would probably be more offensive because it would block the view of anybody. Ladue is a circle. And when you come down, I'm at the point of the circle, so there's a stop sign right in front of my house. If it's in my driveway, you can't see past any, like where it is now, it's all the way down the end of the property, backed up, and if you look down the road, there's at least 30 feet before it hits the roadway. If it's in my driveway, coming down Ladue, like you would actually be looking at the side of my camper at the stop sign.
but it does look like it's close. I don't know if it's the neighbor on the side where it's close to, if they're
It
the
looks
ones
like it, but
complaining.
that's 75 feet from the property line, believe it or not.
Okay.
It does look
It
like
says-
it's, I'm sorry.
But it did 20.
It looks like it's tucked in pretty well in and among the trees.
And I'd like to get it back a little further. If I can, if I find out my fields will allow me to go back a little further.
Sure, but the question I had is the person across the street, it looks like it,
Spoke to him directly.
okay, because it looks like that person
They're
would
most
have.
impacted.
His response to me was, if it doesn't bother you, why should it bother me? So I don't have a problem. He is the one that really should be, quite honestly, he looks out his front window, he's looking at the front of this thing.
That's what it looked like to me,
Yeah.
that
But he was,
view that would be.
I spoke to him, and he was fine with it, and
Yeah.
I believe that he'd probably either be here or write me a letter of support for it. He's not that terribly concerned about it.
it would be especially helpful for your appeal to hear from him.
I understand that.
And you can't park it alongside your garage.
So my garage is 20, my truck doesn't even, my truck is 24 feet long. My garage is 20 feet deep. My camper is 36 feet long. If I parked it alongside my garage, first of all, I'd have to have the electric and the cable raised for it to fit there because it's just
Your
too
electrical
tall.
comes into your garage?
It comes into the corner of the garage.
Okay.
But if I parked it there, it would be, if I parked it on the grass there, it would, again, because of the topography, it would, there's no physical way for me to unhook from it. I would have to leave my truck there, and my truck would be blocking the entire driveway. I can't
Can you
back up far enough to be
Can you
able...
expand the driveway and make the driveway perhaps wider?
When you go out there, you'll see
The topography doesn't work.
it's a big, giant hill going down, yeah.
Okay.
I think I need to answer that.
No, and again, that's why I'm saying I'll be glad to try to jockey the thing around. I mean, I'm driving it for years, I can move it pretty well, but, within the limits of what I could do structurally, I'll be happy to try to show you that
We need to show that at the hearing.
I'm doing the best that I can do.
I'm just sort of anticipating what people may ask about.
And you couldn't get in?
I don't think that people will ask me to put it next to the garage.
I'm going to ask you to actually stay back, if you don't mind.
Barbara's trying to show.
I know, but we
You
have
couldn't
to
get
be-
into the back part of the,
So that's where the well is. If you go out there, you'll see that although that looks like it's flat, it actually, I couldn't really get a picture that you would be able to appreciate it, but there's quite a hill.
okay.
And
I
the
saw the hill.
wheelbase of the camper, the bumper would be digging into the hill prior to the wheels getting to the hill to be able to go up that. And all of those trees are along the front edge of right where you're talking about. That's all, there's 12 trees there that were planted in 1969.
I think I need to hear from the neighbors.
Yep, I'm ready to advertise.
All right, so your motion, is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Pam's going to get you your information. Again, we don't want you to come forward, so she'll get you the information related to your sign.
Okay.
And then, the noticing for your neighbors, so, and then we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.
Okay? But I'll contact you.
I appreciate it.
Stop by this weekend.
And I think I left my number on there, you can call
Yeah,
me. Great.
that's fine. All right, guys, there's one more item we need to take care of. We've received a lead agency notice from the planning board, so, for a Fakori. Oh, that was a mistake? Okay, good. We don't have to deal with it. Never mind. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I do want to thank Lisa, because the minutes from
Good
June
night. Take care,
were
sir.
60 pages long.